Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule, presented by FanDuel. Today is Monday, July 27th. Payton is here. Hello, Payton.
Hi.
I did that again because I think Kenny got so freaked out when I did that last show, he decided to not join us for this one. I think he was so perturbed.
Mm-hmm.
There's a word you can use, Kenny, if you need for your articles. Payton, by the end of the show, on top of your joke segment, come up with a word that Kenny can have for his own personal dictionary.
Like right now, or just
by the end of the show?
By the end of the show. Okay.
That's your task. That's your assignment. Payton and I are here. Payton and I are going to continue the series of looking at Mizzou's SEC opponents. Payton, we are on to opponent number 4 for Mizzou's 2026 season in the SEC. We've already talked Florida, Mississippi State, Texas A&M. Oh, there's one I'm missing. Are we on 5? No, it is 4. Florida, Mississippi State, and Texas A&M. I put them out of order on my doc, my script doc. That's why I got confused, because I put Florida first. Go check those out if you have not. We've previewed those teams. And today we're doing Ole Miss. Would have done it on Friday, but we had some SEC media days things to talk about. And it's an Ole Miss team, Payton, that became one of the most compelling stories in college football last season with their run, obviously. A change at quarterback that involves Mizzou now a great deal in the offseason. And then, of course, their coach jumping ship for LSU after they made said playoff. I will just refresh people's minds if they don't know. We've seen a lot of exchanges in this transfer portal era that we all love so much between Mizzou and Ole Miss. Of course, Kawan Lacey went over from Mizzou to Ole Miss after his first season and broke out last year. And if you want to look at it in a trade view, Payton, Mizzou got Kawan Lacey, and then Ole Miss got Kawan Lacey, and then 1 year later, Mizzou gets Austin Simmons, Caden Lee, and Chris Graves Jr., who are 3 of the more marquee transfers in this cycle for Mizzou, who were all part of this really good Ole Miss team last year. I'll just ask on that. And obviously Simmons ties into, of course, was supposed to be the starting quarterback, or was the starting quarterback until he got hurt last year. And then Trinidad Chambliss, comes in, took the job rightfully so and kept it, threw for almost 4,000 yards, 22 touchdowns, led him to a win in the college football playoff, and now is able to come back because, again, this wonderful world of current college football that we all love so much. But Payton, let's start with the new Mizzou guys here. Simmons, Caden Lee, and Chris Graves Jr. You can talk about Simmons as much as you like. I think, we touched on him last episode with briefly, I think in SC Media Days, or at least I know Drink talked about him and has done all off season. But Graves and Lee, they were parts of this Ole Miss team last year, and now I think are going to have to be really big help for Mizzou to have success, whether it's in this game or just in the SEC in general.
Well, yeah, certainly. Graves in particular was a big one because I was not really loving the lookout or the outlook rather of that corner room really without him. I thought it was a lot of unproven guys. You get a guy like Graves who's who was a 3-year starter, or not a starter, but a 3-year guy at Ole Miss. I think it's pretty big for that defense in general. Caden Lee, just him having a rapport with Austin Simmons, I think it's going to be a big leg up for him. You've seen it. Austin Simmons made no secret that he was really heavily trying to get Caden Lee to come to Mizzou when he entered the portal. That was a big one for Mizzou. I know Ole Miss wanted him back. And I think there was another, maybe LSU was after him a bit. I don't remember for sure. But he's definitely, I think, the most proven kind of guy there right now. You'd like to see Olubide take another step forward, but I think Caden Lee is probably going to be a bit of a security blanket for Austin Simmons in the early going.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to complain as much as I am an Olubide guy. I'm not going to complain about a guy who got 635 yards, 3 touchdowns last year, has 1,607 already in his career, and as a result, it's led to Ole Miss. If you look at their projected depth chart, they have 2 transfer wide receivers that now have to come in. So this guy probably would have been a starter for Pete Golding and for Ole Miss, but of course they still have plenty of talent, and as such, Phil Steele has them picked to finish 5th in the SEC this year. I now need to start referencing the media poll because I think that came out during SEC media days. I'll pull that up.
It's a quick hit.
Oh, there you go. We'll touch on that later. We'll let it be a quick hit. But Ole Miss last season, of course, had that really outstanding run. They were ended up in the college football playoff and ended up 13-2 on the year. They lost to Georgia in the regular season. Their season ended at the hands of Miami in the semifinals, which came after they beat Tulane and Georgia. So they got the revenge there on the Bulldogs. And that I remember watching that game actually in a bar in Kansas City, Payton, for that was a pretty thrilling one with the between Ole Miss and Georgia. I can start ripping through some players and some storylines, but when you look at this Ole Miss team from a general SEC outlook for them, does it feel like for you they could be on for another, maybe 11, 12 plus win season now, especially that they have Chambliss back?
Yeah, I mean, right now they would probably be one of my favorites in the SEC, I'd say. They return 4/5 of their offensive line. Trinidad Chambliss coming back. Kewan Lacey, I think, is the only running back that really belongs in the conversation for best in the SEC with Hardy. He is back as well. Those are some obvious. Those are 2 of, you could argue, the best players in the conference pretty easily. So there is a lot of turnover on defense. I mean, they lost Prince Will Dang it, I literally looked at a pronunciation.
Amun Mielen, I think.
Muman Mielen. He's really good, and he left. He went to LSU. He had a fair number of other, I believe it's all the same family. Him, Princely, Muman Mielen. That's been a legacy family there, but he's gone. He's at LSU now. So there is a fair amount of turnover on the defense in general, but you kind of offset that by Pete Golding and a lot of the defensive staff remaining in place at Ole Miss. That can certainly ease the transition. I mean, honestly, Pete Golding is like a big factor in all this. He has coached 3 games total as the head coach. I was impressed. I'm not going to lie about that. I was impressed. I find him to be, it's weird to say, but I do kind of find him to be a bit of a likable personality at Ole Miss right now. He just kind of, there is the whole Lucas Farelli situation from Clemson and how Dabo was like straight up calling them out for tampering and that he was going to report them. But I mean, credit to Golding, he's not really hiding behind anything. He's kind of just shooting from the hip, telling you how it is. I kind of respect that. So, yeah, I think Ole Miss is pretty stacked. I think they will be just fine, even with a fair amount of new faces on defense, because they got their 2 biggest pieces back in Trinidad Chambliss and Kewan Lacey.
Yeah, I mean, there's not going to be any fear, I don't think, for their running game. I think you're right. We've always had this stance on the podcast. The only guy that really can hold a candle to what Hardy did last year was Kewan Lacey, which just makes his Mizzou connections even funnier. I'm glad you pointed out the offensive line too. Like that is probably the biggest difference when you look at Ole Miss's running game and Mizzou's, of course, along with the health of Ahmad Hardy and that whole narrative and cloud over the start of the fall as well. But I mean, Ole Miss, 4 out of those 5 returners that were in the rotation, and 3 of those, Payton, Danilo Townsend, Patrick Kutas, and Bryson Sanders had at least 750 snaps on the offensive line last year. So that's 3 just regular flat out starters that were all that are all back and can block for Kewan Lacey. So I would say they probably have a little bit more not commonality. What's the word I'm looking for? It starts with a C. I can't remember it, but like more continuity. That's the word.
Continuity, yeah.
I had to come to me, or I was just gonna be distracted the rest of the point I was gonna make. They have more continuity, I think, than probably Mizzou does. And then you add the injury to Atkins in there, and that's not probably as good for Mizzou. In terms of the people that Ole Miss lost, Payton, there are a couple of notables. They actually only had 2 guys drafted from this Ole Miss team from last year. Deshaun Stribling went in the second round to the 49ers, a wide receiver, and then Jaden Williams went round 7 to the Cardinals. They did have one of their other leading receivers. I think their leading receiver from last year, Harrison Wallace. He's on the Raiders now. And Wadette Williams Jr., who was good on the defensive end, was a UDFA to the Cardinals. Those were the 2 other ones that I noted. So Wallace and Stribling are out, and that is notable. Like you said, they probably wanted Caden Lee back. They're pretty balanced, at receiver in terms of the yards and the touchdowns. But as I go through my checklist, Payton, they added a lot in the portal still. So, and I was going to say the offensive line. I did add that as a thing to the checklist of is this team dangerous? Did it retain at least 3 out of the 5 members of its offensive line starters? And Ole Miss, of course, the answer is yes. Another thing I have on there is, did they rank in the top half of either the SEC or top 25 in the transfer portal? Ole Miss was 13th. Funnily enough, only 6th in the SEC, but this team added quite a bit to make them pretty dangerous. And funnily enough, one of their top transfers in, Carius Kearney, I think is how you say his name.
I think it's just Kern.
Is it Kern? Okay, he's number 40. He was their highest ranking transfer, and he is on that offensive line. So
it's the guy Mizzou wanted.
There you go. So
they did get Jay Crawford too, who is a monster. Great player.
He was number 80 on the list. They got Deuce Knight from Auburn, so QB of the future, I guess. There, he was 87th. Edwin Joseph, a safety he was ranked 98, and then a couple others. I wrote down Tommy Kinsler, who Our Lads has projected to start over Kern along the offensive line, and then Darnell Gill and Jonte Cook II. Those will be the 2 wide receivers who are sliding in to be starters. It's a pretty.
I'll also throw this name out just for Kenny purposes.
Okay.
Walker Howard is back in the fold at Ole Miss.
Good one to throw out there. So it is a pretty intimidating offense, Payton. I'll be honest. When I looked at this, I got a little concerned to the point where I think Ole Miss could do a lot of damage to Mizzou and probably the rest of the SEC. And then picked a future on them in our last best beat segment to maybe be a dark horse to win the conference. This is going to be a pretty scary bunch for Mizzou to defend against, especially if those 2 receiver transfers can kind of hold their water.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting because, I mean, that's 3 of your top 4 receivers that aren't back in the fold. Stribling was a baller, too. I was a big fan of his. Him being gone is big. Harrison Wallace, obviously, as well. I am a fan of the Jonte Cook pickup. I mean, he was a very big-time recruit. He went up to Syracuse, and it just was a messy situation up there. But he did have some production with some rather subpar QB play. So certainly that is an area to watch. Maybe Mizzou can give their pass catchers some problems. But, again, that is offset, I think, by Kewan Lacey having to draw a lot of attention and Trinidad Chambliss in my mind, being pretty easily the best quarterback in the conference.
Yeah. Okay. So he's flat. No one's touching Trinidad Chambliss this year. Is where you stand, unless it's maybe
I do think he is the best QB in the conference by a long shot.
I'm trying to think who could come.
Maybe
close.
Arch, man. You could make the Arch argument, but I think for college football, I'd rather have Trinidad.
He's in an interesting like year where he has. I mean, it's kind of why I think he was able to hold on to the job, and you especially compare him to Austin Simmons, who's someone who's going to be having his first true year starting, which was supposed to be last year before it got derailed by injury. But like, save for Arch, I mean, you are kind of looking at the competition in the field of the SEC. Like, who is the other most experienced quarterback there that's not in his first year in the league? Like, I mean, Sam Leavitt obviously is a good player, but he's coming over to the SEC for the first time. You've got whoever Alabama's quarterback is going to be as a first-year starter. I guess you got Stockton at Georgia.
Yeah, Gunner's very good. To me, it's pretty much I think you can make the argument for three guys, and I think they're Stockton, Chambliss, and Arch. Yeah. And I personally would err on the side of Chambliss. I think if you're talking SEC only returners, I think right behind them you have like Sellers, you have Reed. Sellers, I think, still has the highest ceiling of the bunch there, but until we see it, I can't really bank on anything he does. And then I don't really think there's anyone else that fits that criteria. John Mateer, technically.
Oh, yeah, John Mateer. Yep, you're right.
But I don't think he's as good as any of them.
You got Vanderbilt probably going with a true freshman or I forget if he's a true freshman or a redshirt freshman.
He's a true.
Curtis.
Curtis is a true freshman.
To touch on the wide receivers again, I totally forgot to mention, they both came from Syracuse, Cook and Gill. Cook was 549 and 2 touchdowns. Gill, 506 and 5. And that I totally forgot also was playing with two quarterbacks, Ricky Collins and Steve Agnelli. A little bit better, a little bit of an upgrade there from those two guys.
Ricky Collins was a mess.
Two receivers.
It is also, they also started some true freshman for like a game or two, and he was really bad. They also did bring in Horatio Fields, who he's probably their wide receiver 4. At one point, he was a Mizzou commit in the portal. And of course, Mizzou got Caden Lee, essentially became a Horatio Fields, Caden Lee swap.
So see, the connections just continue to grow between Mizzou and Ole Miss. Defensively, I mean, you touched on all the returning kind of stars that I noted on the offensive side of the ball. Defensively, I wrote down Cam Franklin on the edge, Will Eccles at defensive tackle. Is it Suntarine Perkins? Suntarine? Sorry, Mr. Perkins.
I don't know.
And Antonio Kite, a corner. It is notable too, along with what did we settle on? Uman Mielen.
Mielen, I think, is how it is.
Along with him leaving, he obviously led the team in sacks with 9. Their leading tackler, TJ Daughtery, also left. I believe also went to LSU. If I'm not mistaken.
Did he go to LSU? I don't know for sure.
Or was he a draftee? I wrote his name down. I'll find him.
He's on LSU. Yeah.
Yep, he did go to LSU.
That's interesting. A couple of the defensive guys defected like that.
Yeah, when Golding was there, and obviously he's the defensive mind. So you look at, I mean, leading tackler in Daughtery is gone. Your sacks leader in Uman Mielen is gone. Interception wise, Wadette Williams Jr. is in the NFL now. So they actually didn't check the box of, do you have one of those 3 categories, guys in those categories back? And then I think our lads, at least on their depth chart right now, has 7 projected transfer starters on their defense. So I don't know. Does that give you some good vibes? It is a really good, transfer class that they brought in. So those guys aren't going to be slouches, obviously.
Hard to say right now. A lot of it comes down to, is Ahmad Hardy back and healthy? How does Austin Simmons look? Is Chip Lindsey opening up a new dynamic with the offense? So I trust that Ole Miss will have the ship completely right by the time Missouri plays them. I think Golding will figure it out. I think a lot of it is going to come down to how Missouri looks in that game, or like how is Missouri clicking into how it is going to factor into how competitive that game will be.
Yeah, where is Simmons at by that point? Some familiarity with the Golding defense, I would have to think, has to help a little bit, but yeah, I mean, you've got some studs still here in terms of the returners. I mean, Perkins, 81 tackles, 4.5 sacks, had a pick last year, three forced fumbles as well. Franklin, 69 tackles, Eccles, 68. That defensive line seems like it's going to be a little bit of a gauntlet, to go against for a lot of teams, Payton. And they do have to replace their entire, or at least they have replaced, according to our lads, their entire linebacking core. They've got Keaton Williams there now, and Luke Farrelly, who you mentioned as a projected starter, coming over from Clemson. So,
well, he's coming from Cal by
way
of at Clemson for a week.
Oh, that's right. That's where the tampering happened.
Yeah.
Former future Clemson Tigers, I believe, what we call.
No, he was technically there for a week. I think that's why, and then he re-entered, and then as far as I think that's exactly how it went down, because he was talking to the coaches and everything and had moved in. But yeah,
and then Pete Golding worked his magic. Who finishes higher this year, Payton? Mizzou or Ole Miss or LSU?
That is a good question. I am going to say Ole Miss for now, because I think they have the two. I think when those two play, Ole Miss will have the two best players on the field. I think they'll have more continuity. I think Ole Miss is the better team this year.
I think you're right. I mean, I'm pretty like objectively. I don't want to say excited because we're talking about them against Mizzou, but like fairly confident in this Ole Miss team. I think Lacey really is just kind of that dude, and I think Chambliss as well. I don't think he'll be a kind of a one-hit wonder. I think they have enough back on that defense. I'm kind of teeing it up to say, Payton, when these two teams play. By the way, this game is on October 17th at either 2:30 or 3:30 afternoon at Vaught Hemingway Stadium in Oxford, Mississippi. And when those two teams play there, I am not picking Mizzou to win this game.
Neither am I. I believe Ole Miss will be the winner. I think this game being on the road is even worse for Mizzou. It'll depend just what I think a lot of how competitive this game will look depends on if Missouri's offense looks good or not. I think if everything's clicking and Hardy's healthy, I will upgrade Mizzou's chances from no chance to unlikely.
Would you have rather had this game against LSU be like the week before or maybe the week after?
Yes, either way. It would be really nice to have had LSU closer to this game. I will say that's also hilarious that they're making those two play that early in the season.
Yeah,
they just couldn't wait. It does help a little bit that the very next week they got to go to DKR and play Texas, but still, I think Missouri will have their attention.
Yeah, it is an interesting schedule for, I was reading Phil Steele's little thing about them when he was picking, and he mentioned the road games at Florida, at Texas, at Oklahoma. They've obviously got this huge one against LSU. Play Louisville. That's an interesting little non-con there. Something you don't see too much anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how good Louisville is going to be, but
probably good.
Yeah, I feel like that'll be a pretty decent game to start out the season for Ole Miss. But yeah, I think they're going to be right up there with the SEC contenders. It's right smack dab in the middle of the season. It's on the road for Missouri, and you even look at it too. I mean, this is a home game sandwiched in between, and Vanderbilt's no slouch anymore. Like that's a home game sandwiched in between some tough road ones. Like Ole Miss is going to want to go out and make sure they get that game. I think they will probably do it. So that will be a final a no from me. Any other thoughts on the Rebels, Payton? Things you wanted to add? This will be a fun revenge game for multiple players.
It will. I think Kewan Lacey even said, I think he was looking forward to that one.
Oh, great.
Yeah. But, I mean, we didn't do anything to him. He just left. Fair enough.
He does strike me a little bit as like I don't want to sound over dramatic to sound like I'm trying to get clipped here, but like I can't think of another athlete off the top of my head besides Michael Jordan who just does the make things up in their mind to just juice themselves up for the game. Like
maybe he does that. I have no idea, but
he gives me the vibe of someone who maybe does that, which it's a good.
I'd have to go find. He like answered it on a podcast, like 3 games they're looking forward to. He was like, I get to see Coach drink again or something like that. So I don't know. I don't know if there's beef there or if he's just genuinely looking forward to that matchup because it's like the 2 best running backs in the SEC probably.
Yeah, you can see how he stacks up.
He's back healthy, but.
Yeah, I don't blame him for being excited for that one. But let's be careful, Drinkwitz. Let's not, when he gets the inevitable Kewan Lacey recruiting and what happened there stories and should you have used him, whatever. Let's just, we had the running back room we had and he went and found an opportunity. That's the only answer. Let's not, I'm trying to, I haven't even looked at, let's see, their backup is Mekhi Frazier. Let's not say Mekhi Frazier is going to start this week.
Yeah.
Let's not do any of that. It'll be a tough one for Mizzou. And I'm not looking forward to having to talk about Texas either. So we'll get to that. But Payton, for now, we'll get you over to Quick Hits. We're going to talk a little SEC media poll and some cleanup from media days and a few other things, as well as a quiz. Get ready. We have an actual quiz submitted from the void by Kenny this week. So prepare yourselves.
There we go.
All right, Quick Hits time for definitely not the 4th damn time we're recording this segment. We are going to finish up the show, Payton. We have a Ken Sports Show quiz. I'm mad because I'm excited to bring you this quiz, and I've now explained it like 5 times, and my internet is not agreeing with me. It probably won't again, knowing how this has gone. I have your Tiger in the Wild on the screen, Payton, because Kenny has sent me a quiz related to Cameron Meisner. He has tasked me to challenge you to name every deal that Cameron Meisner has been a part of. Now, I'm going to give you the date of the transaction and the team that Meisner went to and fro, and you have to name who went back to the deal. Does that sound like a plan?
Sounds like a plan to me.
There are 3. Would you like to get the first one out of the way, the most recent one?
Yes, because it's the one Kenny wants me to get.
The most recent one?
No, the first one.
Oh, do you know the entirety of the first one, or do you want the date and the teams?
I do know the first one because Kenny and I have discussed it recently. So he was drafted by the Marlins, was a farmhand there for a number of years. He was traded to the Rays in exchange for Joey Wendell.
He was. Do you want to guess the date?
No, I don't want to guess the date. I have no idea when that was.
It was November 30th, 2021.
Okay,
was the date. All right, transaction number 2 happened on November 20th, 2025. Do you remember any details, or do you want the team that he was traded?
Was he traded to the Royals?
He was.
Okay, I have no idea who was in that deal then, because I thought he was DFA'd.
So this is really funny. Kenny texted me this name. I do know who this is. He was traded to the Royals for a player to be named later. And
has it been named?
It has been named. And that is where I do know him. I have a Kenny connection for this, and you should know him as well. It is you want to give up? You don't want to try and guess?
I have no earthly idea who it is.
Matthew Hoskins? You don't remember him?
Mm.
Oh wow. Okay, so I specifically remember Matthew Hoskins. He went to Georgia and was just bouncing around the minors. I remember you and Kenny actually having a conversation about him because Kenny, I think, had wrote something about him. I don't remember when, what the exact details, but yeah, Kenny was excited to share that one. He thought you'd know.
I'm shocked you remember that because
Yeah.
Matthew Hoskins is a complete no one in my mind, like at all. I have no idea who that is.
Yeah, Kenny. I remember you and Ken for some reason having a conversation specifically about him. And I think
maybe we saw him play against Mizzou once. I don't know. I totally don't remember Matthew.
I think it was either that or Kenny was writing something. I'm not sure. So, but I remember him too. And then I was like, oh yeah, the Georgia guy. So I'm surprised you don't remember.
I have no recollection of Matthew Hoskins.
Wow. Okay. I'm surprised. And then the most recent transaction, what was it? And then you know what? Go ahead and share. You can have the first Tiger in the Wild with this.
Yeah, the most recent transaction was actually my Tiger in the Wild, Cameron Meisner, who I don't hate despite Kenny's best attempts to make people think so, because he's a liar. The Phillies acquired Cam Meisner from the Royals for cash, and they sent him to AAA. So he's not on the Major League club right now, but he's still in baseball, still hanging on.
Still hanging on. Yeah, he was optioned to AAA in this
Lehigh Valley as the AAA team for Philly.
Thank you. There you go. Would you like to share Kenny's Tigers in the Wild?
Kenny's Tigers in the Wild. 3 Mizzou Tigers were named to the preseason All-ACC team. Of course, Caden Green and Ahmad Hardy were named. I believe they were both first-team selections as well. Can you scroll down quick?
Oh.
Yeah, both were first team. And Brett LeBlanc, Mizzou's long snapper, he was actually named to the third team. So there you go. Big day for Kenny. His profile photo is him running up on, I forget what his first name is, Nagy. The punt returner.
In relation to Matt?
Yes, he's his son.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, congrats to Brett LeBlanc. Excuse me. Tough. I feel bad Kenny can't present this one himself and brag.
I know that's tough for him.
Brag and boast. Congrats to Brett LeBlanc. My Tigers in the Wild is every Mizzou player in the NFL. Also, Jaden Lewis, who is a Mizzou alum himself. And shout out to him for putting this together. We have training camp now underway in the NFL, and Jaden has a chart of every Mizzou player on an NFL roster. I will not run through all of them. However, I will point out the Columbia Broncos, which still has Chris Abrams-Drain, Tyler Beatty, Cody Schrader, Johnny Walker, and Kristen Williams. Shout out to the Broncos. They
Jordan Elliott's a Titan now. I didn't know that.
Jordan Elliott's a Titan.
Stephen Hall.
We should make this into some sort of quiz. I should probably put this away as fast as I can, and Kenny could do a quiz about it. But what is that? Only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams don't have a Mizzou Tiger by my quick count there.
Yeah. I don't know how long Stephen Hall's going to hang on.
Xavier Lloyd.
I'll be honest there. Same with Xavier Lloyd. But, I mean, they're there for now. So.
Yeah. So we'll definitely check. Also, are you just I was seeing I follow Seahawks stuff or whatever on Twitter and seeing them arrive for training camp. And I'm just realizing football is just right around the corner, Payton. I'm getting very excited.
Yeah. Bears were good last year. I won the fantasy championship of our friend group for the second time.
It was a good year for you.
Only 2-time champion into league history. So there you go.
Congrats to you on that one. I will never win a fantasy championship. I'm useless at fantasy football as much as I enjoy doing the drafts. Headlines. I will read Kenny's headline this time around. It comes from his own network. On 3, Nick Costco specifically, college football rankings, preseason SEC poll released. This is the media poll, right, Payton? This isn't coaches.
Yes. I believe everyone that attended media days as a media member voted.
Yeah, there's we can go through it. I didn't really get much further than this chart on the article because what on earth are we doing here? This is who got
that happens every year. Someone voted Vanderbilt one year when they were really bad.
Someone needs to have their vote revoked. Kentucky, I think is picked to finish 14th in this. If you were wondering the order, Georgia picked to win the SEC. Texas number 2, Ole Miss number 3. We just previewed them. Texas A&M number 4. We have previewed them already. LSU number 5, Alabama number 6, Oklahoma number 7, Tennessee at 8, Florida at 9. Mizzou comes in at 10.
Fair
Fair ranking?
South Carolina and Auburn.
Yep, head of South Carolina, Auburn, Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and that team. Fair ranking, Payton, for Mizzou?
Yeah, I mean, you can make the argument they should be in front of Florida. I don't really care. I think it's a fine ranking, personally. They're in front of South Carolina. That's what's important to me.
I think I agree. My headline, I'm going to do my headline first because Payton has more important news. My headline is LeBron. Payton, he's made his, quote, last decision. He's a Sixer now. Pretty wild turn of events. I'm also sad Kenny can't be on for this after picking the Sixers to win the title as his best beat of the week and not understanding why they were below the Celtics on the FanDuel odds. They were plus 2,000 when Kenny made the pick. Safe to say those odds have gone down. I think LeBron, was it that day? I think it was either that day or the next day that LeBron announced he was signing there.
I think it was the next day.
Was it Saturday or was it Friday or Thursday? I can't remember, but he signs.
Friday. It was Friday.
He signs with the Sixers on FanDuel. Now they're, last I checked, they were plus 1,000, so they had 10-1 odds to win the title. And yeah, what a call from Kenny, first and foremost. Got to give him his kudos. My other thing is just, this is going to be a fun team to watch, Payton. I know you and Kenny aren't huge, NBA followers yourselves, but Jaylen Brown and LeBron, two guys who, 6 months ago, if someone would have told you they'll both be on the 76ers in the fall, you would have looked at them like they were crazy.
Yep. God, it's some kind of fit, it feels like. That's a lot of ball dominance.
I really like it. I like their blend with, you've got, VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey, who are just two super fun, fast guards. And then you got these guys that are vets. You can basically play Joel Embiid for 40 games and then just leave him for the playoffs. I think it's going to work.
I don't.
You don't?
No, I don't.
Crashing and burning. The East is very stacked, I will say. A lot of these teams are starting to reload. Why don't you think it'll work?
To go back to Cleveland or maybe Miami, but whatever. It's fine. It's LeBron James. Go chase your ring. I get it. It's fine.
Why don't you think it'll work?
It's just a weird chemistry. I don't Jaylen Brown is not a needle mover to me.
Right.
I don't. Joel Embiid. Maybe this helps open Joel Embiid up a little more, but I mean, LeBron's 50. I don't think this is going to work. I don't think it's going to work.
I think it makes a lot of sense from a basketball standpoint, actually. I think this will actually work really well. I don't know if they're going to win 70 games in the regular season. They don't seem built necessarily for that, but man, I think this is going to be a nasty team to play in the playoffs. I think they'll be scary. I'm believing in the project. It has a different vibe than the super teams that we saw, we've seen in the last half decade. It feels very different than the Brooklyn experiment. It feels different than I don't know, even what Miami tried to do in 2010, which that's a little unfair because those guys were all in their prime, but it feels different from what Phoenix tried to do when they got KD. I've got a good feeling about this one. I think it could work. You have equally as big of NBA news to finish your headlines off. It was a real busy sports week.
One of LeBron's nemesi, if you will. Cavs former lottery pick, Cavs and former lottery pick Mario Hezonja agree on one-year deal. This comes from Shams Charania. You may remember when he was a Knick, he had that vicious block on LeBron. It was really cool. So yeah, Cleveland, they miss out on LeBron. They pivot quickly to the LeBron stopper. So there you go.
This was very good. Very good from you. It was fun to see his name pop up. I was like, oh, Mario Hezonja's back. Equally as big of NBA news, and you can tell it's been just a gripping sports week this week.
Yeah. I could have done more SEC Media Day stuff, but you know what? I didn't feel like it. So there you go.
It's the dog days this summer. I'll give you a pass. As long as you give us a good Washington National and joke of the week.
Yes, Washington National of the week. we are going to go with Matt Grace, a relief pitcher who I really remember mostly for being just terrible in the 2017 NLDS between the Nationals and the Cubs. He somehow stuck around for 51 games with the 2019 Nats, despite having an ERA of 6.36. He struck nobody out. He struck out less than 7 batters per 9. Didn't walk anyone, but he also gave up 2 home runs per 9 innings, which is just terrible. His career lasted 1 more season. He pitched 3 games with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He gave up 6 runs in 1 inning across 3 games. So there you go. Matt Grace. I can't even really call him a journeyman reliever because he played for 2 teams. He played for the Nats from 2015 to 2019, and then the Arizona Diamondbacks for 1 season. But there you go. 2019 Nat of the week. And we'll go with a joke now. This one comes from our favorite TV series, The Today Show, by the way. Knowlton.
Yes.
Why does a chicken coop only have 2 doors?
Why does a chicken coop only have 2 doors? I'm trying to think, like rooster, hen, hinge. You don't need a hinge. I don't know. Why does a chicken coop only have 2 doors?
Because if it had 4 doors, it would be a sedan. Bit of car humor there.
Oh wow, that was car humor instead of
chicken humor.
Wow,
it's a swerve.
I'm pretty surprised. Payton, I'm really shocked you didn't remember Hoskins. Like, I vividly remember this conversation happening.
I don't remember Matthew Hoskins.
Well, I texted our expert to like try and help you and give you some insight. He played with Charlie Condon, top prospect for the Rockies at Georgia.
I do kind of remember this. I do. That is kind of something that jogs the memory a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I kind of remember that.
Yeah. Neither Kenny and I had any idea who that was. So
you didn't?
Nope. No idea.
Oh, I thought for sure. He did play with Charlie Condon.
Yes. He
Wait,
did.
no, I'm thinking of a different pitcher. Not this guy. I'm looking at this guy. I've never seen this guy. I don't think. No, I have seen him. I don't know. Now you got me all confused. I was pretty sure I didn't know who he was, but now you got me confused. No, wait. I'm like looking through this Charlie Condon roster now, seeing who I'm trying to think of. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I do know this guy now that I think of it.
The text I received was, please pretend you know Matthews Hoskins and make him feel dumb for not knowing him. I don't know him.
I really didn't know him at first. Then you looped that around because I do remember I used to text Kenny a lot about Charlie Condon because I thought he was awesome.
Kenny, I'm sorry if I didn't quite accomplish your goal. I didn't. I guess Payton doesn't.
You kind of did. You reeled me in at the end there. But no,
Kenny can be the judge.
No, I definitely don't know this guy.
You're right. It totally did work.
This guy was, I'm looking through this guy's transaction log. I have no clue who this guy is. He didn't even get drafted, I don't think.
This is officially a Matthews Hoskins podcast.
No, he didn't get drafted even. So
he did in the 12th round.
He what?
He did in the 12th round. His page.
Okay, now you're lying again.
I'm not.
Now that this time I know you're lying.
No.
Oh, no, he did get drafted.
I told you. I know who he is, dude.
I got to find who I'm thinking of then because I don't think it's this guy. But we used to text about Charlie Condon a lot. And I think it would sometimes loop into that Georgia team as a whole because we were always mind blown that Condon was breaking the record for home runs in a season at Georgia. But I don't know. I'm not going to do that on the podcast. I definitely don't know who this guy is. I don't think.
Successful mind melt. We'll take it.
You did. If you had stopped after that, I would have been like, yeah, I have no clue who that is. But bringing up the Charlie Condon point, that was good. That reeled me in.
Thank you to Kenny for that. Great entertainment from afar. He'll be back, and we'll be back with another team preview coming up on Friday. And guess what? we're going to talk about the team that just got picked to finish last in the SEC. Arkansas is up next, so stay tuned for that. Thank you, everyone, for watching and listening. We'll see you all next time.